أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So we should know that in Islam considers the principle of harm. If there's going to be any harm involved, that age, even though when they've just reached the age of maturity, then in terms of the puberty, this is not a good enough age to get married because there's an amount of harm involved. So Islam has quite clear principle in terms of what you can or you cannot do.
So was she old enough?
No, I'm saying if there's going to be harm done, then that is not the age. At a point where there will be no harm done, she's intellectually mature, physically mature, and then no harm involved, this is the time when you can say, yes, this is the guideline that gives you allowance for that.
Let me say this. This is a fairly soft assumption, and see what you say to this. I would say that it seems to me to be fairly unlikely that a girl of 9 would be physically or mentally ready to get married.
Depending on the social historical context.
Yeah, there can always be exceptions, but
no, not exceptions. Not exceptions.
I would say that
as we were discussing earlier,
earlier,
I would disagree with you on this reason that historically speaking, young girls who become women at the age of onset of puberty, they were also mature enough. So I give you example of the Indian tradition where a boy of 8-year-old is intellectually mature and can, when he reaches age of puberty, he can be physically mature and he can actually produce children. So if you look at this now, are you going to say now, okay, now he has to wait until he becomes 20? I'm saying no. The age is not what determines when you get married. This is an artificial boundary that we put up for a reason. Okay, so Islam is quite flexible, where it hasn't set an age, but it gives you minimum conditions, if you want to call that. Minimum standards or conditions where this has to be at least attained before someone gets married.
Let's grant that the Quran gave sufficient guidance in this area. The question I was saying was that Muhammad married a woman who was 9. And I would say, without knowing any, I wasn't there, don't know the woman, but if you put the basic facts out there, are 9-year-olds ready for marriage? I would say I can't think of it. I don't think I've ever seen a 9-year-old who would be ready for marriage. It seems incredibly unlikely. What would you say to that?
Sure. Have you seen in England where 8-year-old girls or women have become pregnant and then given birth when they were 9? It has happened in this country, in UK.
Happened, yeah.
Yeah. So were they ready biologically?
Biologically, yes.
Yes. So you may question whether they're intellectually ready or not.
Biologically ready in terms of able.
Yeah. Biologically able to.
As I said before, that science says that just because a woman has reached puberty and is able, doesn't mean her body is necessarily ready for it.
That's what I'm saying.
Sex might do a bit of harm.
That's what I'm saying. If there's any amount of harm involved, then obviously no. So Islam, as I said again, is flexible enough to give a universal guideline where you can apply this guideline anywhere in the world. You don't have to have some kind of bone density to find out your age. And saying, I was discussing with a very intelligent young woman earlier, some time ago, saying you have to know your age. You have to be absolutely 18, and they can determine your bone age. You don't need to. And people in Africa or
no disagreement there. There's a question of it's a continuum, some are ready at earlier ages.
Yes.
We know
so it can be different to different people and different culture.
Towards the edge, like 9 years old, I don't believe she was ready.
No, you may believe.
I'll say that. I don't think she was ready. What would you say?
I would say, we have to take case by case. Maybe there is an example here in Britain that she was ready. So can I ask you a question? If someone is intellectually mature and biologically mature at the age of 10, what do you consider?
If that was the case, the age doesn't matter. My contention is I don't think that's likely at all.
You think it's not likely? What's not likely? What's not likely? Which one? The
For
biology
someone to reach
or intellectual maturity?
Intellectual maturity.
Right.
I don't think your brain's even done growing by that age.
Okay. At what age do we become intellectually mature?
I think for men it's later and for girls it's earlier. So I think for men I would say it's over 20 in terms of the development of your brain.
So according to your understanding, a 19-year-old shouldn't get married because they're not intellectually mature.
That's not what I said.
If you haven't, remember, generally, those people who are not intellectually mature, they shouldn't get married. That's what we were discussing.
If you wanted my opinion, I would say, it's probably better to get married a little later in your 20s for lots of other different reasons. Develop kind of, what you want out of life and what kind of person. There's lots of different reasons why you might not know enough when you're 18 to make a choice that's going to last, 40 or 50 years.
What determines intellectual maturity? Because we have very, very smart 11-year-olds studying in Oxford and Cambridge. We're talking about university, right? Colleges in Oxford. So this is degree level. Very smart. Are they intellectually mature or immature?
In terms of academics,
intellectual maturity. Not just academia, intellectual maturity.
Well, I mean, that maturity comes with, like I said, the further development of your brain.
No, this person, this young man, at the age of 11, they're going to Oxford and Cambridge.
Right.
Are you suggesting they're not intellectually mature? What's missing in their maturity?
There's probably quite a bit of social development that's missing.
Like?
Social development.
Like what? What are they missing in terms of social interaction? Are you saying they're unable to understand how to interact with society?
I mean, your experience is what I
No,
said.
I'm giving examples to understand how do one become intellectually mature, what governs that process of maturation, and what are the factors of intellectual maturity. How do we measure it?
We've determined that when you're 18, it seems that you're mature enough.
It's an arbitrary age from nowhere.
It is. But, a lot of people would discourage getting married there for the reasons that I said. You're better off waiting and not rushing.
Where did this age come from?
Sorry?
Decided by what?
Well, I mean, obviously there are physical factors that show you to have matured into an adult.
Someone who is 17 and a half and someone who's 18. Do you consider that their intellectual maturity is a huge difference or a slight difference? Slight difference. So a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, you really consider that their maturity intellectually, there's a difference?
It could be quite a bit. That depends upon the person.
Like what? Like what? Like what? A 17 and a 19-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, if I say, without trying to strap ourselves down with going through lots of psychological thing, if I said someone's acting like a baby, you would know what I'm talking about. Some people act like a baby. Some people act like a
Yeah, like
baby.
many 40-year-old here acts like a baby, for example. You've seen yourself. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't get married. Anyway, can I ask you a different question altogether?
Yeah, go on.
I mean, we agree, just to summarize them, we agree
except
that
for
it is not just the
9-year-old.
biology
That's right.
and, this age determines. There's a lot of complicating factors. And some people don't even get mature when they're even 30 years old, biologically and physically. Okay? So there are lots of variables involved. We were discussing in the context of the accusations of pedophilia to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, that's it. So this is totally unjustified, and in fact, it doesn't help bridge the gap.
Justified that term and category. That's where I'll give you the presentism, because clearly everyone was married.
Young.
Girls are quite young, so there wouldn't have been the same moral maybe awareness or anything that it might be wrong. So I don't think we can paint him with that brush. The brush we can paint him with is that if he's getting guidance from the creator of the universe and a girl of 9 is not ready, then we can paint him with that brush.
Yeah, but as I said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, didn't like to have garlic. It doesn't mean he imposes that on every individual. The Quran clearly sets guidance for Muslim man and woman, and it may also give guidance for the Prophet also, because he also received guidance from God how to conduct. He's reprimanded for, ignoring, for example, when some blind man came and wanted attention, and he was giving attention to the allies at that time, and God reprimanded him. So he's also a recipient of guidance, but of course, when God guides him, he's the best guide. But there can be some individual personal circumstances, which doesn't mean that needs to be imposed on every believer's man or woman. That's the point I'm making.
My question is her body ready for that? Is she mentally ready for that?
Sure. What if she was? Okay.
If she wasn't, there's no problem.
Sure. She live.
It's not the age.
No. Let's look at something. It's important to actually get her perspective on it. What was her perspective in her marital life with the Prophet ﷺ? Because she outlived the Prophet. What was her perspective? That's important to understand. If you go
To be positive.
not seem to be absolutely positive. Absolutely positive. I mean, from her, we got most of our religion, a lot of our religion and religious teaching from her. She passed on. So how is it that if she felt harmed in any way, she would have spoken about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things there.
So that should decide whether she was
that are probably
ready or not.
There's lots of things that probably happen to your life that are harmful, and you don't know the difference.
No, what I'm saying is, in terms of I would not agree with this point here. If she had a relation, if she was if she was married and she had any issues, any problems, she wasn't ready because this young age, she would have spoken about it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not saying me. I'm saying she would definitely have spoken about it.
I grant you that.
Yeah. So that's why we have positive remarks from her testimony, from her marital life with the Prophet. That is enough and sufficient for us to take and say the relationship that he has, whether she was ready or not. I don't have to go any beyond this at all. I was going to summarize it, but we keep on bringing back on this issue.